Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock, Drogheda. My name is Nick Park, and a couple of weeks ago I had the privilege, as part of the Pentecostal European Fellowship, to meet in our General Assembly and our annual conference in Warsaw in Poland. And as part of the presidium of that organisation, I was involved in drafting a statement that was released, praying for peace in Ukraine and also condemning Russians' unwarranted and illegal invasion of their neighbour. Now, I believe very strongly, and that resolution was adopted by the General Assembly of the Pentecostal European Fellowship, representing Pentecostal movements across the continent of Europe. Now, I believe that God has called us to be peacemakers. Now, being peacemakers is not easy. In fact, for Pentecostal Christians, traditionally, early Pentecostals, for example, in the early 20th century, were generally opposed to military warfare at all. In fact, some of the key early Pentecostal pioneers, such as John Carter, who was a key Pentecostal pioneer in the United Kingdom, actually went to prison because they refused to serve in the armed forces during the First World War. Now, that's a very difficult situation when you've got this great patriotic feeling in a country and everybody of military age is expected to sign up for the military. And for those whose Christian convictions say, well, I can't do that, I don't believe in killing anyone, to take that stance as a conscientious objector can be very difficult. It's very difficult indeed today for Christians, example, in the Ukraine, who would take a stance of conscientious objection against serving in armed forces. Of course, not all Christians believe that about warfare. There are Christians who believe, where the circumstances warrant it, that they should participate in defending their country and their homes and their families. And right now, I'm not here to debate the rights or wrongs of that. I am saying that God has called us to be peacemakers, and we need to pray for those Christians, particularly in Ukraine and Russia, who are coming under immense pressure because of the way that they, in their hearts before the Lord and by the leading of the Spirit, feel they have to live out their conviction that they should be peacemakers. That can be a very difficult thing to do. It can be difficult in Ukraine. It can be difficult in Russia as well. And at times may take much greater bravery to be a peacemaker than to be a soldier. For example, the leader in March 2022, just after the invasion, the leader of the Russian Evangelical Alliance released a public statement expressing sorrow, bitterness and regret at what his government had done in invading Ukraine and asking Ukrainian Christians for forgiveness for what his country had done. That was an act of incredible bravery given the current political climate in Russia. We're also seeing Russian Christians that are being arrested and prosecuted and fined for putting up posters that simply state Bible verses. That's right. I mean, this is almost incomprehensible that in a country that claims to be a Christian country, and Russia does claim that you can be prosecuted for putting up a poster that simply states a Bible verse, "Thou shalt not kill." Well, apparently in Russia now, it is deemed that to put up a poster quoting the Bible to say "thou shalt not kill" is to undermine the Russian forces' special operation in Ukraine, and it's therefore illegal in a so-called Christian country to put up a poster that simply states a Bible verse. Actually quite staggering. But I'm full of admiration for the peacemakers who keep putting those posters up. They're not taking sides. They're not rejoicing in one side killing another, but they are standing for peace, and they are lamenting the wrongs that are being done, even when it's being done by their own government and when it's unpopular to speak out against what their government is doing. God calls all of us to be peacemakers. Now, thankfully, though, here in Ireland, we're not faced with a dilemma where we're expected or forced to fight in an army in a time of warfare. Neither are we faced in a situation where by simply stating a Bible verse, we can be prosecuted and fined for doing so. But we still need to stand as peacemakers. Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers." And I, for one, want to stand as one of God's peacemakers here in Ireland and in whatever situations I find myself to be. May God bless you today. Join us again tomorrow for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock, Drogheda.